Commissioners, participants, and interested parties to the June 27th, 2024 meeting of the Cohasset Conservation Commission. Commission is now in session on a Zoom platform. I'm Tom Bell, Chair of the Cohasset Conservation Commission, and will be running tonight's meeting as we implement the Massachusetts and Cohasset's Wetland Protection Acts and the Cohasset Stormwater Management Regulations. If anyone in the audience has questions for the Commission, put them in the Q&A section at the bottom of the page. And when called, please limit your discussion to 3 minutes. You must include your name and address to be recognized. Present this evening on behalf of the Conservation Commission are our Conservation Administrator, Angela Giso, and the Town Conservation Agent, Charlotte Pechtel. I'll now take a roll call vote of Conservation Commissioners. Please respond by saying present. Kathy Berrigan.
Kathy Berrigan, present.
Chris McIntyre.
Chris McIntyre, present.
Valeria Romano.
Valeria Romano, present.
Tom Bell, present. Tonight we have a quorum of 4. Okay, so let's move right along here. For the public, there are no project hearings scheduled for this meeting. It's only for enforcement hearings and discussions. So there'll be show cause hearings and enforcement order hearings. First show cause hearing is for 47 Beechwood Street, tree removal in the 50-foot buffer. You introduce the homeowner, please, Charlotte. You're muted.
Sorry about that. Yep, so I'll promote Meredith Gendron right now. She is the property owner. Hi, Meredith, can you hear us? You're mute. Oh, there you go.
I can. Yep. Hi there.
Hi, and did you say Andrew could join, or is he going to jump on later, or?
When I originally got the letter, I sent it to him. I think he said he was going to, but I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll keep an eye on the audience. And if I see him, I'll promote him.
Okay.
So I'll be, I'll just summarize briefly. Andrew Spalt from Total Tree had called me, I want to say, over a month ago. He was asking about some leaning, damaged trees at 147 Beechwood Street. He wasn't sure originally if some of them were in the town right away. So I'll pull up pictures so you guys can see what they look like. We did determine one is in the right of way. The town will probably look at it at some point to see if it needs to get taken down. But the other one, we determined that it was on the property of 147 Beechwood Street. So I had recommended to Andrew to just let the homeowner know that if they want to take it down, they can, submit an RDA. But unfortunately, that wasn't, it may have been a miscommunication, but it wasn't, an RDA wasn't submitted prior to, the tree getting taken down, which I think it was taken down a little over a week ago. So I think we did, I'm sorry, I have it on my OneDrive, apologies. So I think we really just, it may or may not have been a miscommunication between Andrew, myself, and the homeowner, but we do have Meredith here to, offer any other input and to see what the commission would like to do. And I'm sorry, I am pulling it up right now. I just had to pull up OneDrive. So I'll pull the tree up now. So there were 2 trees in question originally when Andrew had called. This is the one between 147 and 143 that was determined to be within the town right away. It's, it was struck either by lightning or it's damaged at the bottom here. So the town will take a look at that later this year to see if it needs to come down. It's not over power lines from what it looks like, but it could potentially fall into the road at some point. And this is the other tree that Andrew had called about. As you can see, the bottom was, kind of beat up. I think it was either struck by lightning or hit or something. So it was, had an unstable trunk bottom. And it looked like this. It was kind of leaning towards the road.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is where you want sort of more commentary from me, but I mean, I think that's really it. I mean, as you can see, the tree is not even really near my house. It wasn't going to fall on the house. The only reason to take it down really was for the safety of the road and the power lines. So I knew that Andrew had gone and talked to the town because he came back, and we agreed we wouldn't do anything with the second tree. And he told me that it was fine to go ahead with the one that was taken down. And I even said to him at the time, because I knew my next door neighbors had had similar issues with this same sort of area between our property. You know, do we need to get anything in writing here? Like, how does a situation like exactly like this not happen? And so there definitely was some sort of miscommunication there because he told me everything was good to go. So that's sort of all I know here. And then I received the letter. So, obviously, like I said, I wouldn't have done it knowing that we hadn't gotten the proper permission. There was no reason to do it other than, you know, the fact that it really seemed like a safety hazard.
Yeah, I think that really we don't have a lot to say here other than there's a procedure here and it seems like it broke down. Obviously, had you come for before us for an RDA, we would have certainly approved the removal of the tree. So what's done is done. You're now educated about the process. So what, Charlotte, is there anything that we need to do here beyond? Is this in the 50-foot buffer or the 100-foot buffer?
Yeah, sorry, that was the one thing I was gonna first say, but I was distracted looking for the photos. So you can kind of see here this like little pink marker right here that was delineated by ECR for 143 Beechwood Street. So there is a wetland that's right at the bottom here between the two properties, and then there is some sort of intermittent stream that's connected, and it goes right behind 147 and on the left side of 143. So it is within the 50-foot buffer. It looks like it's a couple feet away from at least the delineation for the wetland that was done recently. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I don't know what happened, but it seemed like it was a miscommunication because I do remember telling Andrew to inform the homeowner to just submit an RDA and that I'd work with her to, because we have a million examples of this at this point. So I don't know if he just mixed up the two trees I was talking about, but I did tell him this one was not in the right of way. It was in the 50-foot
Charlotte,
buffer.
could you clarify, you're using Andrew? Who the heck is Andrew?
Oh, I'm sorry, Andrew Spalt from Total Tree. I'm sorry, he was the contractor for the job.
Yeah.
But he had called earlier.
Continue to have problems with him, don't we?
I don't want to say yes or no, but I mean,
Let's send him a letter.
okay. I don't know his address, but I'll just, yeah.
We can find it because he's obviously not communicating very well with the town and his potential clients. And we keep having the same issue come up. And really, I'm tired of it.
Yeah, there was one other instance on Doan Street, but I believe it was more of an internal error on the town's part, telling him he could take it down, but he had to submit an after the fact RDA and it was never submitted. So that instance, because someone from the building department had issued, it was okay to take a tree out on Doan Street for Total Tree. I mean, he did come in and ask the town, so he does have a procedure to either call me or go in and ask the town. The problem is might be the implementation of whatever is told, but he does at least call me with stuff, and he does talk to people. And then 77 Jerusalem that we just talked about earlier this week, it was Total Tree who told the homeowner to go to us. So, but I think in certain cases, I do know there is a little bit of a professional disagreement, I think, between conservation and what he does, because he strongly thinks that hazardous trees really should come out ASAP and not having to wait for conservation. And, I'd like to agree with that in most cases, but when you're dealing with sensitive areas right near wetlands, I mean, obviously no one wants to see anybody get hurt, but in this case, I said, hey, if it falls in the road, then the town can take care of it, and then the homeowner doesn't have to pay anything, but obviously that doesn't benefit him.
Well, I think you should just remind him that he doesn't get his chainsaw out until he sees the paperwork done.
Yeah.
And in this case, what shall we just issue after the fact RDA here?
That's up to you guys if you would
Or
like.
is it even worth it's hardly worthwhile, it seems to me.
I mean, at this point, it's up to you guys. I mean, unless you guys want to see a tree replaced, it sounds like Ms. Gendron wasn't aware that the permit needed to be obtained. So there is a current cease and desist, only just because I wasn't sure if any other trees are going to get cut down. So if you don't want to, pursue any other action, you can vote to lift the cease and desist on the property. And I think just in the future, Meredith, you know, in this area in particular, if you do, you know, need to cut down a tree or anything, I can work with you in the future.
So,
That was gonna be my question, just so I know, is it more typical that the homeowner comes to you directly? Or do you
Yeah.
more often deal with contractors?
I would really like to deal with both equally, but you know, I
Okay.
think it's best for the homeowner to be educated, you know, because you're the ones who are hiring the professionals. The professionals are obviously, I mean, I hate to say it, they are gonna obviously want to cut down a tree, I'm sure, you know, so I think for you guys, it makes sense just so that, you know, because you know, the violations will follow the property address, you know, so
Yep.
they, yeah, I mean, you can always send them separately to contractors, but usually it's almost always assumed that the, you know, homeowner is at fault because you hire the professionals that do the work, so.
Yep, okay, makes sense.
Commissioner, do we want to see a replacement tree put in here?
Yeah, certainly, and it's in the 50, correct?
Yeah, this pink marker here is the wetland.
And that's the tree that was removed, this one?
This leaning one in the photo is the one that was removed.
Do you know what the species was?
I believe it's an oak.
I don't know. It looks like it might
There's
be.
an Nora
might be a
maple? Is it a Nora maple? Kind of looks like it from the trunk.
Yeah, it does.
You know what? It could be a Nora maple.
Yeah, it's not an oak. That's not an oak.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, this looks like a Nora maple bark.
So maybe here's an opportunity to plant a couple of small oak trees.
Yeah. Our typically, if for 50, for removals of trees in the 50-foot buffer, it's a 2-to-1 replacement, so that's what I would be looking for in this situation as any other. I'm looking in the file, a restoration plan for 143. Is this what you're referring to? Is your neighbors that were?
Yeah, so
Property
143.
next door, that's why those trees are marked.
Yeah. 2-to-1 would it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
So
Maybe not an oak. Charlotte, what tree is appropriate here for, I mean, it's adjacent to a wetland, so I'm not sure an oak is the right choice.
Yeah, I think I can pull up our list real quick. It's
Couple of
believe- I
cedars, couple of cedars maybe.
I don't know about cedars. I'm trying to remember the trees that like wet feet. You know, because this is near a wetland. So red maple, yeah, that's what I thought. Red, silver maples, birches, white oak, pin oak, sycamore. I wouldn't suggest green ash just because what's happening with the ash trees. Oh,
Right.
actually, yeah, it does say Atlantic white cedar, Tom, for wet soil. Sorry, I'm reading my
okay.
list. Pull it up.
Yeah, okay. Why don't we shoot for that?
I mean, I can, if
Why
wanna be
don't we let,
general,
why
maybe
don't-
just
I would
something
say
from our
we
list.
could give them the list and.
Yeah.
I mean,
we have two
not
lists.
to
I
get
think.
too granular, but I feel like a deciduous tree should be replaced with the deciduous tree, but that.
Yeah, yeah. We just want to make sure that oh, wait a minute, go back with that, Charlotte.
Sorry.
It does say wet.
Yeah, wet, moist soils. And then there's another list that we have that's a little bit more coastal. So this is like the one that,
This is probably fine, so,
yeah,
you know, red or silver maple. Or, you know, any of the trees, I guess, on that wet or moist soils list is appropriate.
And is there a process to have things re-inspected after I do that? I just want to make sure I'm following the proper protocols now.
It's got to survive for at least 3 years.
yeah, I think what we can do, Meredith, if the commission agrees, is if you want to, I can send you the lists. And if you want to just pick 2 deciduous trees from those lists and, you know, maybe plant them at some point, what, by end of fall? Do you guys think that's appropriate? Because I wouldn't want to plant them in the heat of summer right now. And then, you know, once you've selected them and planted them, you know, I can come out, I can take a look, and should just be good to just, you know, keep them for 3, you know, full growing seasons. Well, not keep them, but you know what I mean? Just keep an eye on them for 3 full growing seasons, just to make sure they don't die. But they can be planted anywhere in that area that works best you know, in the 50-foot buffer near the wetland. So you don't have to put it in the same exact spot, obviously, because that would be kind of tough. Because I'm sure the stump is there and you probably intend to leave the stump there. That would be a lot of work to remove it and put a tree there. So, you know, anywhere in that general area will probably suffice. But yeah, do you guys agree with that? Do you want to keep it more like general here? I can just make a note to touch base with her in the fall.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
All right, Meredith, does that sound good to you?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Great.
Take care.
You guys
Right.
want to, would you guys be able to vote to lift the cease and desist and close the show cause? If you
Yeah.
guys have nothing else to add.
Yeah, I move that we lift these cease and desist and show cause,
Second,
or we don't have an RDA or anything on this.
Nope.
Do we? So we're talking about for 47 Beechwood Street.
147, sorry.
Oh, it's 147. No wonder I'm not looking at the right house. Okay, so 147 Beechwood Street.
second,
I have a roll call vote. Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Valeria Romano,
Larry Romano, I.
Tom Bell, aye. That motion passes 4-0-0. And we need a variance to work in the 50, is that right?
Yep.
So I move to issue a variance for planting 2 trees within the 50-foot buffer at 147 Beechwood Street. So, do I have a second?
Second,
Kathy Berrigan,
Kathy Berrigan, aye.
Chris McIntyre,
Chris McIntyre, aye.
Valeria Romano,
Larry Romano, I.
Tom Bell, aye. That motion passes 5-0-0.
Great.
Good to go.
Thanks, Meredith. I'll send you those lists as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, have a good night.
Okay, next show cause hearing is for NOI 2012 Stormwater Permit 2020 for Atlantic Avenue, stormwater infiltration.
Let me see. He did say he was going to attend. I'm just going to shoot him an email, but we can just get started. So this one was a 2020 order of conditions and a stormwater permit. Sorry, give me one sec.
Sure.
All right, just shot him an email. Okay, so yeah, this one was, I'm gonna pull up the plans so you guys, for those who were there in 2020, it can refresh your memory. This was a 2020 order of conditions stormwater permit to install, sorry, it was a new single-family dwelling home with a driveway. There's already an existing road from Atlantic Ave further up into some homes up to the north. So this was the approved site plan. The house was built when shortly after I first started in late 2021. So it was some steps down the driveway, steps here, trees and everything, and a small wall. There was, I had reached out last year to let them know that their permit had expired, and I wanted to know what the status of the project was. And Brian's been kind of trying to close this out for a year now, but it seemed like that the infiltration work, there was supposed to be a subsurface system right here, is a 5-chamber system, just below the driveway in this like lower area here, that was supposed to be installed. And it sounds like it was never installed. I think there was a little bit of a back and forth with the contractor, who, long story short, it just basically wasn't in for whatever reason. I don't know if Brian, if he jumps on the call a little bit later, he can explain a little bit more of that. But essentially, the permit has expired. The home was built. The driveway was built. We do not have the infiltration system built in as far as we're aware. I know Morse Engineering he had reached out to Morse Engineering, and Morse wanted to know if the system was also put in. So as far as I know, I don't have evidence of that at this time. So I had spoken to Brian that there's 2 options. You can submit a new RDA to try and put the system back in, or we can go through a show cause, because I can see it both ways, that this is a violation. Everything was built and we don't have the infiltration. There is a pipe here. There is a black pipe that's sticking out right near this larger tree. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know if it was maybe connected from the driveway somehow or somewhere. And he said that drainage does work well, But other than that, I don't see any evidence. When I went to the site a few years ago, I didn't see any evidence of, you know, an inspection port or anything indicating that there was a lot of digging in this area and it was put back, you know, to, you know, install the system. So it's up to you guys on how you'd like him to proceed. If you would like him to submit an RDA to finish the work, you can do that, or you can do it through, you know, the show cause with enforcement action, just telling him to put the system in. I don't know if he's going to go with the same contractor, but at this point, I don't think it matters as long as it's put in and we can close the permit out. So you guys have any thoughts on that?
Charlotte, would you show the location on your map, please?
On your map? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure which house you're talking about. It 4 Atlantic took me to something-
44, sorry, 44.
How do these numbers, what does it say on the? I'm really losing it, I guess, but.
Sorry.
Um,
I'll pull it up though. See, I think you
Yeah,
might
okay.
recognize it.
my error. Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, so Treats Pond, you know, so there was already an existing road like all the way up here. So this driveway, this home,
Yeah,
all of this
yeah.
is new. But
Yeah.
yeah, the system was supposed to go right in here. I couldn't find any evidence that it was installed. And I don't think Morse or anybody did either. It seems like the contractor and the owner have different perspectives of why the system wasn't put in. So I don't want to get into that because it doesn't relate to our jurisdiction, but basically the system, I think we can assume, is not in there. So what would
So
the
this
commission
was
do?
supposed to go in within the 100-foot buffer,
In the 100-foot buffer, not the 50, correct?
right? Okay. So yeah, seems to me like they need an NOI and a new stormwater permit.
Well, the stormwater permit, I don't think expires. So I think the stormwater
Okay,
permit, well, I
good.
mean, obviously our bylaws have recently changed, but not back in 2020. So his stormwater permit's still active, but in the 100-foot buffer, would you guys be okay with an RDA, or do we want a new NOI? Because, you know, he's trying to close this out, so.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to see an NOI on this.
NOI.
Yeah, he's in the 100-foot buffer here. And this is a result of a complaint by an abutter.
Yeah, we did receive some complaints of flooding,
We did,
but wasn't that before Treats Pond was fixed?
yeah, that's right.
So I don't know if there's been any recent issues. At least no one's come to me in the last year saying there's issues, but I mean, he's claiming that the pipe right here, I can show you guys a picture of it. The owner's claiming that whatever pipe this is and how it's connected.
Let me ask you this, Charlotte, was this a custom home that he found an architect and contractor for, or was this home built on spec and he just bought it?
I'm not sure. This was before my time.
Can't hear you.
Did I mute myself? Sorry.
No.
But I'm not sure. That was before, this permit was a little bit before I got here, so I don't know the history of it.
Okay.
I think he's always been the applicant. I don't think that's changed.
Okay, so it sounds like he bears a certain amount of responsibility here. If he just bought into a house that the contractor had failed to carry out their plan, that's one thing, but if it was.
Yeah,
he
no,
owned
I
the
think he's
property and had
the,
the house built, he's responsible.
yeah, he's the original applicant.
Yep. You know
So
what,
these are the photos.
don't need to see him.
No, okay. I was just trying to get to the pipe so you guys could see like
no.
there's something here,
Pipe
but
the pipe doesn't mean anything.
no, I know. I'm just saying that's
Irrelevant.
the only thing that's here right now.
Sorry, just backing up. This, I'm looking at the approved plan from 2020.
Yeah.
Are we saying that this system that is on this plan is not? We don't think it's there, or
I
is
don't
he
think it's
confirmed,
there.
he's confirmed that, or has he not?
The contractor said that the system was never put in.
Well,
Yeah,
then
he said,
basically,
yeah, I mean,
he just needs to reissue this plan and a new NOI, and if everything's fine, we can. But
Okay.
yeah, I agree, we should have, there's trees there now
Mm-hmm.
where it would be, and so
Mhm.
there'll probably be some,
Yeah, there's gonna be some serious excavation here to do that.
Yeah,
It's not,
I agree.
it's not a kind of a little tweak to anything here. They're gonna be
Mhm.
doing a lot of digging. And it's right on a, pretty busy road. We're gonna wanna look at
What's-
limit of work and silt fences and all the whole works, Charlotte, so NOI.
So what
Okay.
can we do besides just saying that we want a new NOI? What are our, do we have a NOI, or what if he just doesn't submit one? Do we have an enforcement,
Can go
second?
through enforcement, yeah. I mean, the project's not in compliance if the system's not in there.
Well, and give him that, I would say, give him that option.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's the other option to resolve it. You can go through an enforcement order and make him come back to us, or you can make him submit a new permit. It's up to you. I mean, the NOI is the longer of the two processes, unless you guys are okay with him just resubmitting the same exact plan from 2020.
Well, when he comes before us and applies for an NOI, order conditions, then yeah, he's gonna probably use the same plan, so.
Yeah,
No.
I think that's okay.
I
in
don't,
this case.
I don't think an RDA is sufficient here.
All right. Yeah, I think if he can use the same plan and if the plan's not modified in any
That's
way,
fine.
I think that makes sense to just resubmit the NOI. It's just,
Well, it's fine in the sense that we're gonna look at that plan again and make sure
Yeah.
that that everything looks right and,
yeah,
I don't know, I mean, he must have had a stormwater permit too, so.
yes, but the
we-
stormwater permit hasn't expired. They don't have expiration dates until 2023.
Yeah. So we should review that as well at the time.
Okay, so just review the stormwater permit again and the design.
Yeah,
Okay, because maybe there's a better place to put it potentially in the
yeah,
buffer.
and who knows what the numbers look like? I mean, he didn't put in his infiltration chamber, and
Okay,
so, yeah. Let's
Yeah.
take a look at it.
all
right.
I'll let him know.
Okay.
And yeah,
And he didn't see fit to show up tonight, is that correct?
some people think the meetings are in person, but I did send him the agenda and I said it was remote and had a Zoom link.
Okay,
So I don't know if he's trying to go to town hall right now, but I did send him the link and I said it was remote.
okay,
Uh,
all
But
right,
yeah, I'll just let him know. I'll just keep him posted and
okay,
I'll email him and the contractor. I don't know if he's gonna stick with the same contractor or not, but I'll just tell him to submit new NOI. And then if he wants to work with Morse to use the same plans and resubmit, then that's great. And then we'll discuss the stormwater permit that's currently on file too.
okay.
Okay.
So
You
our
guys
next
wanna-
cost hearing is for.
Oh, sorry, did you want to close the show cause or keep it open?
Keep it open until we see an NOI.
Keep it open? Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so we'll just continue it until an NOI has been submitted.
yes.
Okay,
Our next show cost hearing is for NOI 2303 and stormwater permit 2303 for, maybe I get it wrong again, 1 Fair Oaks Lane.
81 Fair Oaks Lane. I think your numbers
You know
got
what, when
cut off.
when I'm doing copy and paste here, somehow it's not catching the first digit of these. Okay,
You just got back from Italy. It's metric versus imperial, so it's cool.
yeah, really.
That's okay. So here we have Josh Britton, the property owner and applicant, and then Jeff Hassett representing the applicant as well. So I can start, guys, and then you guys can all share screens too if you would like to pull up anything. So long story short, I've been working with Josh to potentially close out the permit since the majority of the work is done. There were some modifications to the plan. But unfortunately, by the time we had received a minor changes approval, those changes were already done on the site. It was definitely to offset some erosion and sedimentation concerns, and I think Josh has more information about that. But the work to restore the backyard, the rear yard, and I can pull up the plans as well, was it encroached on the 100-foot buffer. The work was originally in the riverfront, but not touching the 100-foot buffer to the BVW. And so, again, the minor change request was submitted, but it was after the changes were already made on the site. And so Jeff had also submitted the minor change request with some proposed mitigation. I have some recommendations on that, but we'll obviously open it to commission thoughts first. And then with that, I can turn it over to Josh and Jeff if you guys would like to add anything. And if you guys would like me to pull up the documents, or if you guys want to pull up the stuff, just let me know.
Well, thank you everyone for taking the time. I really appreciate it. I think Jeff is going to drive from a sharing standpoint. Yeah. So I just want to first and foremost apologize for the situation and for you don't need to share it right now, Jeff, and not following instruction and protocol. There's no excuse, no justification. We just simply messed up. And I'm just hoping tonight by explaining how we got here, you can at least understand there was no malintent. And more importantly, we're open and willing and want to fix this. So it feels like this time last year, but John Teriyaki is explaining to us what a building envelope is. And I'm not saying that to joke, but it's just saying the bar for like our level of ignorance. We've never done a project, don't know much about any of this stuff. And Charlotte's been great informing us and educating us along the way. But we're kick off the project after getting the approvals. Seems to be smooth sailing, despite that we have a 20-foot drop off from our front door in elevation to the 100-foot buffer. So we're talking a significant grade that we're working on, and has just been, let me just tell you, from a grass growing standpoint, a nightmare. And so the silt sock and erosion barrier are in place. And then, have it be our luck, we start getting hit with those torrential downpours, a inch plus in an hour accumulation, tornado warnings. This is all while we're excavating. And so I believe our excavator, Tony Iria, made his best effort to prevent just this massive runoff that starts at the top of Fair Oaks all the way down our driveway and dumping into an area where it shouldn't be. And so he was doing his best to protect that 100-foot buffer. And from what we could see, nothing was being touched outside the tarp or the boundary area. So there was no reason for my wife and I to think that there was anything wrong. Of course, we're perched up on a hill and can't necessarily see down below everything, but it's, again, not an excuse, but we just didn't know that there was an issue. And we're kind of assuming that all this work is being done according to plan. But what we learned along the way is where we are supposed to be putting our stairs, we noticed that our septic tank, as we're digging, is slightly off from where we thought it was. Not by much, but enough that the footing of the stairs were where we needed to pour concrete. So we basically, there's an image that maybe Jeff can pull up, but on the fly, we have our septic tank exposed on a hill, and we're getting these massive storms to the point where and within one day, it goes from, I can see the tank, I can see underneath on the bottom of the tank. And I'm no expert, but I know if you can see the bottom of a septic tank, like, it's not a good thing. So we are scrambling. We're not thinking about following policies and procedures. We have walls being busted. And like I said, I think we were just trying to manage a situation. And so what we came up with was, instead of looping the stairs kind of out to the right where you can see that first pool and down right there, we just went straight where that wood thing is. Yeah, right there. And again, our mistake. Not trying to say like this is a justification, but I just want you to understand, like, there was no malintention here. We got put into a situation where we had to act quickly, and I was scared that I was going to have a septic tank on. So in the same vein, the fence that we put in, we have this 15-foot drop off, and between the trick-or-treating and the scavenger hunts, like, we have kids, our own kids, that it was something, yes, in hindsight, we should have submitted and gone through, but we needed to just get something put up so nobody would fall, no kids would get hurt, and it was a decision to say, let's choose the lesser of two evils and just get a fence. So again, that's our fault. We messed up, and we want to do what's right. We want to come to the table and say, we don't view conservation as a burden behind us. It's a responsibility. We own it. We planted the 3 trees and they're taking well. This from, what we agreed on. We've proposed 16 native shrubs at that point where the water's kind of at that boulder wall to mitigate any further erosion, but we're open to whatever the commission is guiding us to do. But I just wanted to give you guys, the situation and understand this was not there's no plot of, doing something. We are reacting and hopefully doing it the best we can. So, I'll close with this. Like, we are sustainable neighbors, the first people on our block that got solar. I bring my girls out to Freedom Sanctuary Pond, and we do a voluntary trash pickup when ticks aren't out. And we like this place, and we want to work with you guys. Let us know what we can do to help with the situation.
Thank you, Josh. And I'll just quickly add for the commission's reference to that. I can't explain what happened, obviously, because I wasn't there when, everything was, being constructed. I was there for pre-construction. One of the conversations I did have with Tony Ioria is we did push out the erosion control barriers a little bit, given the steepness of that slope. It was really difficult to get an excavator on that slope. So in order to alleviate, the safety concerns with an excavator tipping over into the buffer, we did push out the erosion control a little bit to allow for that flat coverage for them to get around and put in the infiltration systems and other stuff. So the problem was it probably wasn't put back too. And, I'm sure a lot of, professionals, when they see those barriers, they think they can go up to those barriers. So that might have been part of the reason, but, it was really just a temporary extension of the erosion controls to kind of alleviate those safety concerns of working on a steep slope. But, unfortunately, by the time, I had come to the site after the fact that, when Josh and Jeff had presented this to me, the work was already done.
Can we see the plans?
Sure.
We've been talking a lot.
Approved plans?
We've been talking a lot about areas that are we can't visualize, so we need to see.
Charlotte, do you want me to bring up the plans or?
Yeah, please.
Sure. Yeah, if you can beat me to it, I think I have them open too.
Either way, whatever.
All right, I'll pull them up. So this is the,
Okay.
I'll pull up the approved plan. So the work, again, was just partially within riverfront, the 200-foot riverfront, not the inner riparian zone. The green line here was the 100-foot buffer. So during construction, we had pushed the erosion barrier, I would say, out maybe like 7 feet around this, like at the edge of this boulder. So it was really just to allow that access around the site to get to here, for the, additions and the infiltration. So the barrier was kind of wrapped up like around a little bit around here. I would say.
Where's the septic tank?
Oh, that's
If you zoom in, it's like right on the staircase.
oh, is it here? Yeah, right here.
Yeah. Yep.
And so you've had some erosion there and have lost your septic tank is exposed in that area.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're digging, and as we're live digging, we're learning that you can't pour concrete underneath the tank unless you dig.
Where was that photo of the bank eroding and those wooden box structures look like a sluice box? Where was that on the site?
That was right in this area here. You could see the tank in the background, and those wooden boxes were the footings for the foundation, I believe, that we're looking to pour, but it looked like they got a downpour at the time. So what I understand happened was instead of the steps coming down to a landing and then taking a 90-degree turn, they put them just flush along the foundation of the house, keeping the steps away from the tank and just tight to the house without a landing.
So what's the solution here, Jeff?
Well, so we were asked to come out and do an as-built plan earlier this spring, and we did that. We have an as-built plan that we submitted, and in doing so, we noted to Josh that there were four deviations that we brought to his attention, and we filed a request for a minor modification with Charlotte. back on May 1st. So it can, it can be addressed through that. What we proposed, so this is the as-built plan that we're looking at now. And you can see that triangular portion that goes beyond the 100-foot wetland buffer. So that's in an area that was previously disturbed. There was fill in that area and boulders that date back to when the house was built. It wasn't, a virgin wooded area. And that nearest portion of the boulders to the wetland is 83 feet from the BVW. So we recommended coming up with some mitigation for that. It's certainly I think it's something that typically would be approved, at that distance from a BVW, but certainly a violation as it was not, it's certainly beyond the limit, the approved limit of work. So we recommended some plantings on this as-built plan. We added that proposed 430 square feet of mitigation area, which is currently the lawn, the level area outside the walkout basement, to be planted with shrubs. And I know, I've spoken to Charlotte since we submitted this, and I think she's going to recommend maybe adding additional plantings that on the other side of the boulders, down the flat area closer to the wetland. And, I've spoken to Josh about that, and he's certainly open to that as well. Whatever you think is necessary.
Yeah.
So we do have the administrative modification filed.
Yeah, and that was gonna be my recommendation that, the plantings up top in this area, it's definitely nice. And I'm sure, the homeowners would wanna, Josh and Olga would wanna, vegetate this area. But I think, with the disturbance in the buffer zone, and since the 100-foot buffer, as Jeff mentioned, was already kind of messy, there was stuff there that was, there when Josh and Olga bought the property. So I think if we were to put something at the bottom of the rock wall in the buffer zone to kind of revegetate that buffer with some native vegetation rather than just messy stuff down there, that was my recommendation. So you can either move this area to the bottom of the rock slope, or you can keep both areas, whatever the commission sees fit. Either way, the work won't go into the 50-foot buffer.
Okay. So what is still, so there's been no certificate of compliance yet, and so this can continue under the same order of conditions?
Yeah, and one thing that I talked with Josh about on site as well is we do have a condition that's already templated in our, special conditions template, that if there is damage to wetland or buffer zones, to immediately notify the agent and work with them to fix it. So technically, with the minor change request and with addressing that through the order, that is an option to the commission, where we could allow him to add the mitigation and kind of restore the site a little bit as part of the order. So those conditions are kind of, they don't imply fixing a violation, obviously, but, to restore the buffer zone to a certain point, I think you can do it through the existing order of conditions.
We don't need to amend it?
It's up to you guys. If you
For
think the
any-
change
for-
is
for
more
any
than minor, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because this was submitted as a minor change request, but, it was obviously submitted, after the fact. So if you guys had seen this on paperwork before the changes were done, if this looks like a minor change, we can keep the minor change request.
When was the previous plan approved? Was that 2023? Is that what I saw on
I
the?
believe so, yeah,
Yeah,
2023.
the permit was issued in February 2023.
What happened? How long have you owned the home, Mr. Britton?
2016.
Oh, all right. 'Cause I'm looking at near map, and it looks like there's been pretty substantial tree removal in the buffer zone since, looks like 2021. Is there a big storm or something that took out a bunch of trees? There's a bunch of stumps.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing.
There was a really bad storm in October 21. It was like the one that knocked out that massive tree right near the town hall. So like late October 21, I believe. That definitely knocked out a lot of trees. I don't know about here, but just in general.
Yeah, I think our first discussion before we were even doing this project, Charlotte, I came in and said, we have a tree that's not on our property, but well, a couple of trees, and they have fallen, and now one is actually up and into our driveway, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do, but it's not our property, and that was I'm trying to think of when that was.
Well, certainly wouldn't have helped with erosion. Looks, I can count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, say at least 6 stumps in April 3, 2021, and a large pile of trunks.
So we had them just saw down. I mean, the tree still, like, it kind of went back up, but we just had them saw and leave it because Charlotte said you don't want, it's actually good to leave the wood to decompose and not necessarily remove it. So
Yeah, these are trees that had already fallen, correct?
there were 3 trees that had fallen, and then 4. There's also they're leaning trees where it's kind of like a little bit of a domino effect, if you will. But a lot of them are kind of still scattered about.
There must be a dozen substantial, maybe not a dozen, but quite a few fairly substantial trees in this pile here.
Yeah, and again, let's take out that many trees on a slope like that, you're bound to have erosion problems. Once those roots start to give way to the soil they're holding. But I suppose 2021 is all past our
I do see a large tree that fell between early October 2021 and April 2022. I think the storm was mid to late October 2021. So at least this one that I see on near map that like fell down, that may have probably been from the storm, I imagine, right, Josh?
Yeah. I'm just trying to look up right now because a lot of them have like trees now in place of where they were. But like I said,
no, we just pull up near map and we can just walk it.
Oh yeah, sorry. We're looking at something that you guys can't see. Sorry. 1 second. Where's my screen? Sorry. There it is. So Josh, sorry, this is what we were referencing. Nearmap is it's a service where you can look at more updated aerial imagery than Google Maps. So I think this is what the commission's talking about. Chris, what was the time frame you were looking at? Was it from here
Yeah, so
on?
go back to March 2020.
March 2020? Okay.
Yeah. And then go forward from there and you'll see these east, mainly on the east, some on the north.
so when Charlotte was on our property, I was showing her that we had trees that had basically split halfway up, and then we're just like teetering on like neighboring trees. And when the 3 that the 3 that fell down during that storm, I want to say it was October. It was like that crazy windstorm. When they're taking down the trees, it was like a domino effect, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
We still have 2 tree, like there's still 1 tree right now that is split. I think Charlotte has a photo of it. It looks like it is dead. I'm not like able to assess it, but
Chuck, can you pan up, put the house a little bit
The house?
north, yeah, and go on the right side, go back to April 2021
April 2021.
on the right side. No, the right side.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So storm
So
1, 2, yeah. So you said it was a domino effect with some trees getting knocked over?
yeah, I mean there are still a couple of leaners right now, but they're not anywhere necessarily in risk of hitting our house. So
Mhm.
I don't know if we just leave them or if it's something that we should be submitting a request for.
I
And
can pull those up. I was just trying to find them. Well, I think I was there last year. The last year? I was there in January 2023. Does that sound right? I can pull up my photos from the 23rd or January 23. But I guess, I mean, it depends on what the commission wants to do with this request. These are just in terms of what Josh was talking about, this is one of the first times I think I went to the site. This is what the site looked like before permitting. Maybe the split one is what
Yep.
Josh,
Yep, that one. Yep.
so this is what everything looked like before permitting in early 2023. Oh, well, that's the house, but I'll go back to the trees. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Sorry, where are we going with this? Do we
Yeah.
want
Can I-
mitigation for
oh,
trees?
Can I ask it just a couple sort of summary, make sure I understand the bigger picture questions briefly? So there was work approved according to a set of plans. Then we sort of realized that the septic system was going to have a problem. The stairs needed to be moved, and the proposal for what to do with the slope wasn't going to work. So instead, we wanted to put in a boulder wall that would help resolve the septic issue running down the hill. That's essentially what happened. Then all that work was actually done, partly to mitigate the emergency with the septic, partly to keep the Britton kids safe and the neighborhood kids. And then after it was all done, we looked at it and said, oh, geez, this was done. It's not according to the plans that were approved. Eventually we're going to have to get a certificate here. So why don't we do a minor modification request? So then that minor modification request went to Charlotte for potential administrative approval. And that's why we're here, because it came to our attention that the work was all completed before the minor modification request was even submitted, no less decided on. Does that basically sum it all up, just so I can make sure to understand? And I'm asking anybody, just looking through the documents and the different things that needed to be done. I don't know if that's for you, Josh, or you, Jeff, or you, Charlotte, or yep.
Yeah, that sounds accurate. Yes.
Okay. And then can you explain just briefly a little bit more so we can come up with what the solution is? Because the 430-foot encroachment into the 100-foot, when that wasn't previously approved, seems a little bit more significant than, simply just sort of like haphazardly and irresponsibly removing a tree, particularly if it's like putting in a boulder wall, which is a fairly permanent sort of, encroachment. Can you talk a little bit more, just sort of explain what hazard and what you were resolving? I saw that picture of the pipe sticking out and the erosion. Briefly, and to the chair, if I'm belaboring this too long, I just wanted to understand so we can come up with what the next step is, and if you'd like, cut me off. But just in case Jeff or Josh or anybody wants to sort of explain the emergency nature of it and why we couldn't wait a little bit better, I might gain something from it.
Yeah, so I mean, I'll quickly run through those changes. So the existing house is here, and the addition came off the back about 12 feet, and the grade really does fall off quite a bit from you're up at 113 in the driveway, and then out back you're at 101, so about 12 feet lower, and then the grade continues to fall off. So this was certainly, we knew it was going to be a tricky project to get around this corner, to get footings and foundations in, get the drywall system in. There was a boulder wall here that I presume extended around here, but it was buried, it wasn't visible. You can see the way that doesn't look natural. I think that fill was placed when they built the house, when they built this wall. So I guess what happened was they started building this in these steps. They ended up just putting flush around the side of the house, which I don't think that's too big of a deal. But they went out into this area here, and they did have permission from Charlotte to go in, temporarily go into that area a bit to get around the corner. But then if you look at the as-built plan, and then we had grading right here that was 1.5 to 1. They ended up placing boulders there, which I would totally support. It's a better way, it's a good solid way to stabilize that and not get erosion. But this is what we ended up with. You see, this is about 430 square feet into the 100-foot buffer at 83 feet to the wetland. So we proposed mitigation at the top area here of 430 square feet of giving up their lawn and doing planted area. We're also open to adding additional mitigation, which was suggested by Charlotte in this area here. And this is
Are those boulders that were
that's what
stacked
talking
in the?
about here.
Yeah, the steps I'm less worried about unless there's some sort of environmental, or other safety concern. The four of the boulders, it was concrete and whatnot had to be poured in order to facilitate that, or they're just stacked boulders?
No, they're just loose boulders, dry stacked.
Okay.
And there were already
holding,
boulders.
yeah.
There are already boulders in
Okay.
that area. You can see the boulder walls here and here. And in this area where they expanded, although our surveyors didn't pick up boulders, I would presume they were just
I
buried.
understand.
Yeah.
And then, so the remediation that you're proposing is not actually within the 100-foot, it's with outside, but they're going to give up a little bit of their lawn to do it. And then you're also saying maybe a little bit more on the other side of the boulder wall, just planting it, bringing it back to sort of a natural state. That's the proposal.
Yeah, exactly. And this area down
Okay.
below the boulder wall, it's not lawn. It's kind of a messy area.
Sure.
And, it could benefit from some plantings. I think it would look nice. And
All right. I mean, I understand basic. And then as far as the trees that Commissioner McIntyre sort of picked up on, those, a few years ago, those Mr. Britton, were those cut down, or those, you said they fell and one fell on top of another and one fell on top of another, or did somebody actively cut them down? They all look like they're within the 100, right? And then, so I guess the question is, were they cut down? Not as much we can, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
There were several that fell down. The one that I came into the office about was all the way up into our driveway. And when we cut down certain trees, and there's, like I said, still some, they're cracked like halfway up and just being stilted by the neighboring trees. And so when they were cutting, anything that kind of came down when they were clearing out the trees, they cut them and left them there. I don't know if that makes
Okay.
sense. I feel like if I
I
could.
think it does sort of. Were those cuttings done according to a plan? A submission to us to cut within 100 at that time?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay, cool. I understand. I understand. I mean, and I get it, and I don't fault.
And
Right, I
happy
just wanted
happy
to
to
make sure,
plant
yeah.
more trees back there. Love to, probably the ones that don't have, the disease that's going around, but
Is that what
Yeah.
they were? Were they ash trees?
yes, we had ash trees back there. I think there's beech. I'm not an expert, but we are, like I said, my wife and I are completely open to shrubs, trees. We are gonna put our best foot forward to make this area, the best it can be. So if you guys think that we need a number of trees, then let's do it. We're we are kind of at your guidance and what you think would be best for the area.
Great. And just want to bring one more point up, that this is not just the 100-foot buffer, but this is the James Brook. It's a 200-foot area, which is shown on the plan, but that the entirety of that is considered a resource area, not just a buffer zone. So, and James Brook is you know, very important for water. You know, it's an important resource. So, like all our wetlands, but just want to note that. So it is important to maintain, you know, as natural a state as possible. I don't know. What do we think? I think kind of, if we could get an idea of the trees that were removed in terms of quantity, we could get a better sense of where and how many. But would you be able to provide some sort of, I mean, I'm just counting from the satellite image, but it's not accurate. It's probably looks like at least a dozen. 1, 2, 6.
I'm not sure there are, I mean, I can say there were big trees.
That's typically where we would start to have a mitigation plan. We would start with what we're
Sorry,
what
Chris.
removed.
Chris, sorry, I think we have to pause for a sec because we don't have a quorum right now. Tom just fell off. I think we have to just put this on hold for a second until Tom comes back on. I don't know what just happened to him. Maybe his laptop died. Sorry, Chris. There he is. Tom, you there? Tom, are you there?
Is there any kind of methodology of, if you were to take a square footage area and, you know, how many trees can naturally fit and come up with a you know, just at least a baseline, so we can either start researching and looking to see, like, hey, we, based on the types of trees, we can fit 8 in here, or whatever that count is. But is there a process that we could go about in just terms of starting the process? Because we want to improve upon the land, so, you know, whatever that requires, we're willing to do it. I would need some information to.
Landscape plan would be, you know, that's we used to have a landscape guy, but his last day was Tuesday, so he was a landscape architect. But let's see, would kind of, I mean, Jeff might be able to help you. I don't know, he might have some.
Yeah, I can help research it and maybe put you in, and we can reach out to a landscape architect, but you can look up the recommended spacing for trees based on.
We have a list of trees for resource areas that are native that Charlotte can provide. And
So we put the 3 maples in right along the buffer.
So Chris, or Commission, just to remind you that he had requested with his permit to take down 1 tree that was close to where the stairs and stuff were all going to be. And then our condition was we wanted 3. Oh, geez. I think his laptop died. We wanted 3 trees as a replacement. You know, so Josh did put those in as part of the permit. I'm gonna call Tom and just get him on speaker because, you know. Hello, Tom? Tom, you there? All right, so he's here virtually, just to keep the conversation going. So Tom, I just have you on speaker until you can reconnect. Okay, so I'm sorry, guys. So I guess for the purposes of this, do you guys want additional mitigation at the bottom of the wall? Do you want to just move the mitigation to the bottom of the wall? Do we, in addition to that, do we want more trees in the 100-foot buffer as part of that mitigation for, you know, this and for prior trees that may have been removed? What are you guys thinking? Oh, sorry, Chris, you're muted.
Yes. That's what I would want. I'm only one commissioner, but that's, as I said, it's James Brook, watershed. I would definitely want to see replacement of, as many trees as we can functionally in that area. So I personally would be fine with you working with Jeff and getting a count and some sort of plan together for that.
Okay, so do you want one to one? Like if there were like 4 trees that were cut down, do we want 4 back in? Or do you just want to space?
Well, sure.
Oh, sorry, Tom's saying he thinks there were more than 4.
But were they cut down or did they fall naturally or was it a combination of both? I think that's.
I thought it was that they fell down, but I don't know.
We had at least 4 trees that were down and we sawed them up. Sorry, not 4. 3 trees that fell down that were on the ground. And then we had a number of trees that were leaning, and when they got cut, it was a domino effect. I want to say I might put a go back and see if I have like family picture, like with the kids back there or something. I wasn't around. I wasn't there when they were cutting it, so.
I mean, we could just do the aerial stump count if you want. That's pretty good way to get a rough number. Be fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we can look into it. We'll get you an answer on that and we'll come up with a planting plan to revegetate that area.
Yeah, and I think, is the commission okay with keeping this as the minor change request, and Jeff can work with me and Josh to add restoration to the plan? And if that's okay with you guys, do you want to have him come back and just keep the show cause open and bring
Yeah.
a planting plan back?
Yes.
Okay, Tom, does that sound good to you?
Yeah, I think that's the way to go here.
Okay,
And
Kathy, Valerio, you guys good with that? To just continue the show
Yes.
cause?
I'm fine with it.
I am. I think that makes sense. You can approve the modifications and then we'll just all agree at a future hearing on how to replant.
Okay,
Is that what we're talking about with the minor change? Administrative through you and then
yeah, so like,
remediation would be
you know,
through us?
we can keep the minor change for now, but I won't approve it until we can come up with a mitigation plan, and you know, Jeff and Josh can come back and we'll just keep the show cause open, put it on a subsequent hearing whenever they're ready to come back, and then we can you know, look at the plan together. And if the commission's good with that, then I think we can, if you guys are good with that, we can accept the rest of the changes as part of that minor change request with the
Okay.
plantings. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great.
Okay,
Yes.
Okay.
all righty.
All right,
And
thanks, everyone.
Tom, did you have anything else to add?
No, I do.
Nothing else? Okay. You guys, can you guys hear him through my phone? Oh, he just hung up. Maybe his volume's working again. All right, well, thank you, Jeff and Josh. I guess for a continuance, I'll just mark it as just until a later date and then just keep me posted. And you guys know, unfortunately, I can't physically walk sites, but I think we can figure it out with FaceTime photos, et cetera. And, you know, I'll work with you guys to come up with a plan and we'll put you back on whatever agenda is closest.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, Tom, can you hear us? He's definitely here. I just don't know if he's got his volume working. Do you want to give him a second to recalibrate? Yes? Nodding heads? Okay.
Yes.
I'll just
Yes,
wait.
in between hearings, why don't we give him a minute? Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he's got something cool looking going on. in his
Yeah, whatever
screen.
he's doing, he's got something going on.
It's like,
He's got Chris's face, Kathy's face. I don't know if he's trying to hold his phone up to his computer.
I
Hmm,
think the jet lag's finally caught up with him.
probably.
Tell you what, near map was pretty handy. It's almost like too easy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I feel
Uh,
kind of feel bad sometimes. I'm like, but I can't ignore some of the stuff.
it definitely changed the posture of what we were just discussing, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I had first seen the site, you know, all that stuff was already there, you know, in 2023, like the stumps were just all there. So I was kind of like, okay. But yeah, you can definitely see like between October 7th and that following flyover, you can definitely see a lot of trees coming down within that time frame from the October storm. And whether or not people, you know, cut them around the same time, that's you
Couldn't have
obviously
been-
can't
That was
tell.
only April, so the October storm was.
Yeah, it was, I want to say it was like the 17th, 18th. It was one of those like 20 something, like, but yeah,
They-
it took out a lot of
when they-
trees.
Yeah, but when they go over, they bring the roots with them. So that's when you can see from satellite images, flush stump.
Hmm.
Have trouble believing. I mean, if it's ash and they're disease, it's one thing, but
Yeah,
these are all in the riverfront, and
right, right.
not only that, they're piled up. But as you go to 2022, April 2022, you know, he's like left them, quote unquote, left them, and then you go to 2023, they're all processed and stacked.
Right, yeah,
So.
yeah, it's tough. Do you want to try and call Tom again to see if I can get him on the speakerphone and then just maybe keep moving forward while he figures his screen out?
Yeah, I mean, he can just call and Zoom on his phone.
Yeah, let me try to see if he can definitely call in on his phone and I'll just
There's also a call out function in participants if you
Everything's
if
just
you want
kind
to
of
click.
really fails
Oh,
here.
Hi, Tom.
Tom,
Yeah,
I think-
do you want to maybe
okay.
try calling in on your phone, like at least for sound? And then Chris and
Well,
I
I
can,
could just hear you. Yeah.
sorry, Valerio.
No, that was sorry, I interrupted.
Hang on a second here. Let's see if I can even do that.
Yeah, for the agenda, if you want to pull up the agenda, it has the phone numbers. I usually just try the first one and just keep going. Like the 309-205-3225 one,
I-
and just keep going. Or
I
the-
can call you too from a 309 number that is for Zoom, Tom, and it will just add you if you want me to type in. I have your cell. Do you want me to have Zoom
Yeah.
add you right now?
Getting too much advice here, so, and I'm trying to bring something up, so.
Do you want me to just keep you on speaker, Tom? And we can move forward with the next hearing while you figure out your screen stuff, but at least we'll have you on the call on my
Yeah.
phone.
Right,
Okay, all right, so we'll do that. So we'll move on to 140 North Main Street for your rear yard alteration and retaining wall, John Printer, so I'll promote him. It's just rejoining. Hi, John. You are muted.
There we go.
Hi, John, can you hear us?
Yep, I can.
Okay, great. So I'll start and then John, you're welcome to follow up. So I'll just this show cause came from some complaints that the town had received last year from an abutter at 6 Jerusalem Road who's behind the property at 140 North Main. They were upset about some rear yard changes and alterations that they claimed were causing erosion and sedimentation into their property. I had gone to the site last year to kind of look at it. You know, I will be honest, it's a little bit difficult to, you know, assess a site like this when I don't know what the existing conditions looked like before those changes were made. So I did note that to the abutters. They had said that a rear retaining wall was constructed in the back of the property, and we can pull up imagery of that. There were some, they claimed some dirt had been brought in and regraded the backyard, and that they had made some other changes as well that they, you know, were concerned was causing erosion onto their property. So I had gone to the site, 6 Jerusalem Road, looked at it. You know, you can see that there's like a, you know, dilapidated fence along the back of their property. You know, it does look like we are getting some erosion from, you know, the higher up elevation levels. When I was at that site, it was difficult to determine where the erosion was coming from exactly, but you can see it's obviously coming from a higher grade down through onto their property. And so the building inspector had also gone out shortly after, last year in September, I believe, to look at the retaining wall. I don't believe he had determined any course of action from a building perspective with the retaining wall. So, you know, given the changes with the retaining wall, some of the grading, I had written a show cause letter to John to kind of clarify what's going on back here. John had provided, and he can share his screen and information as well. He has been working on this for quite a while now. A lot of these changes were made 2-3+ years ago. And the complaint was brought to me last year. So this is kind of an old, you know, issue here. And it was determined that a lot of the sedimentation and erosion is actually coming from the top level with the street with North Main. And it's kind of just shooting down between two properties, and it's coming through onto their fence, through their fence down onto their property. And that the wall, there were concerns that with the increase in impervious, there may potentially have been a violation of the stormwater bylaw. And John can help clarify that as well. In addition to what John will clarify, I did speak to the contractor, John McKenna, who constructed the retaining wall or helped with constructing the retaining wall. He did say some fill was brought in, but he estimated it was only about 2,000 square feet, not 5,000+ square feet. So that's good to know for clarification. He said it was about 2,250. We kind of measured it based on his estimations. He said some fill was brought in after the wall was constructed to come out about 10-15 feet from the wall. The wall is about 130 something feet long. So it was about 2,000 plus or minus. So I think John can offer this additional information as well. But to clarify, it does seem like that it's a little unclear that there has been a violation, but I did just initiate the show cause to see if the commission had any other concerns. I can pull up photos from what I saw. John has obviously his information as well. So I guess I'll just turn it over to John first and then we'll see what the commission thinks.
Okay, yeah, I'll be brief. I'll try to be brief. First of all, I just think it's really important to say that, you know, we restored the property. The landscaping was a disaster. So we restored. We did not add anything. We did not change the footprint of the house. We did not change the footprint of like the landscaping or anything of that. And then the second thing is, you know, there's no net increase in impervious surface area. It's actually the opposite. So here, I think the timeline is really important. We bought the house in June of 2019. The real estate agent referenced it as the Grand Dame of North Maine. It's a Victorian house. And we painstakingly, you know, restored it. We didn't want to change anything. So here's the timeline. We bought it in 2019. Chris McKenna was the contractor. We redid the interior of the house during 2019 into COVID. By the time we got to the end of 2020, we were out of time to do any of the landscaping and, you know, sod. Essentially what had happened, there was a steep, I mow the property myself. I take care of the property, and there was a very steep grade off the back of the property. And so, you know, it was weeds. The sod was no longer there, and there was sort of, you know, just weeds everywhere. So in April of 2021, and I think this timeline is really important. In April of 2021, I did not start to, I had a contractor, it was a minority contractor, and they were just to build a divider between the two properties. But the way, and I bought the material, so I know it was going to be like a 2-foot thing. The way they did it, it got a little bit bigger than 2 feet. So you know, once again, I don't want to get into a he said, she said. The abutter, and by the way, the wall, what is now called the wall, I guess, it abuts 2 properties. The abutter that complained said that, you know, he was concerned about it, and it was just cinder blocks, right? That's all it was. It was just cinder blocks. So he complained and he said, it's going to collapse, et cetera, et cetera. So Chris McKenna, I got him involved because he was going to do the bulk of the landscaping and get the sod in. And he beefed up the, you know, not only the structure of it with those, I don't know the technical terms, with the complainers, you know, input. So we put a lot of drainage, you know, and when I say, I don't want to use the wrong words, but we put, you know, piping in there. I sent a picture to Charlotte recently. We're at the end of the driveway that was on the left side, which was there. We put some gravel and some drainage there. He took the downspouts in the back of the property and put them into the ground and put gravel there and drainage there, with the whole goal of just having lawn that I could maintain. We also I think the main problem, you know, we also cleaned up like all the, you know, weedy areas and put mulch down and plantings, etc. When we did that, what happened was, like, this was sort of a no man's land between the 2 properties, and there was a big tree there that was holding up his fence. He took that tree out, his fence, he never readjusted his tree. So all of the work was completed in October of 2021. Everything that you see was done as of October 21, or maybe November. The next thing, you know, and he was, you know, making comments or whatever, nothing during that period. In September, on 9/21/23, I got a note from the inspection report, and it said, and I quote, rear retaining wall in failure, right? So I called up right away and I said, you know, that's not true. And so he came out and he looked and, you know, made it, you know, said there was no issue. Then, and now it's 3 years later, right? It's 2024, the summer of 2024, and I get the letter for the show cause hearing. So all we did was try to tame the erosion that was happening. And this is the most important thing, as Charlotte was mentioning. The erosion he's talking about comes from North Main. I have a side driveway that was there before. On the left-hand side, and I can't share this, but the water comes down between 134 North Main, which is my abutter to the side, yep, where she's showing, and the water just runs down there and from North Main down the side and then down between the two properties. So if there is an erosion issue, it is, you know, he might as well complain to my neighbor because that's where this water is coming from. And I've done everything I can. When I bought the property, there was no grass. There's a big beech tree in front of our house. And no grass could grow there because the water was coming from North Main across that area, and you couldn't get, you know, permeable vegetation there. It was just like dirt and whatever. And all that would wash across the driveway down the thing. So we did everything in our power to make it better. It was a restoration. It wasn't a alteration. And, you know, I think given the fact that it's 3 years later and, you know, for whatever reason, you're not going to satisfy somebody. He tries to get the building inspector involved and he didn't take the bait. And now we're here. Here's what I will say. In the spring of the spring of this year, I've read that in 100 years, it's the wettest spring on record. So like this water that comes from North Main, I can't do anything about it. I've tried to do everything I possibly can and talk to him about it too. I had Chris McKenna meet with him because I didn't want to be at loggerheads. There's an abutter on 10 Jerusalem. He's 6 Jerusalem, 134 Main. And then there's sort of that condo thing on this side. I have worked with all the people that abut our property to lovingly restore this property. If you drove by this, you will see how much better it is. And we did plantings. We planted roses on the backside of the wall so that, you know, it would look pretty. He's taken out trees. I've not done anything. I've tried to keep every tree. It's funny. The last story, I had a Kentucky coffee tree on the front right property that blew down in one of those storms. It cost me $5,200 to have Andrew take it away. So we've not done anything against the environmental wishes that you would want. And I'm just like, you know, I'm sitting here watching these other things. I've never been involved in this. And, you know, my conclusion is like some people you just can't satisfy. They're just going to keep on complaining and complaining. And we think we've only made the property better and the permeable vegetation more. The total sod that I purchased was 10,000 square feet. So, you know, it can't possibly be where we had alteration of the land that was, you know, anywhere near a 5,000 square feet or built a wall that is anywhere near 500 feet. So that's what we did. And you know, I sort of lose my breath on this because all we did was restore. And this has gone on for, you know, since 2019, to be honest. If you can't, you know, if you have a neighbor that's not going to be satisfied, he's not going to be satisfied. So that's really all I have. And I sent pictures. I did not come prepared to share pictures, but I shared a video with Charlotte, like what happens in a recent rain. And you can see, Charlotte, I am surprised that you didn't say that where you see his quote erosion has nothing to do with the wall. It has everything to do with this. It goes around the wall. Thank you, Charlotte. I appreciate that. You can see that it goes around. You see it running there. It goes around the wall and goes across his fence. That's the only, and that's like not even, you know, the area that's in question. And this fence, you see, okay, that's great. Stop there. Those, Chris McKenna, when he did the work, he put I think it's called a baffle there. So there were stakes there. I pulled it away from his fence to show him that the reason the fence is drooping is because that's where a big tree was. And the tree was holding it up and the tree was rotten. It was on his property and he took it down. So you know, I did plantings, I did reeds, whatever, to make it look nice. Any of the sod that I had that was left over from the project, I put in that gully area, and nothing that that wall has not moved. Those plantings are stable. Nothing has happened. And, you know, I hate to sound like I'm defensive, but I don't even know why I'm on this call, honestly.
Thank you for
Uh,
that.
Tom, can you hear us now from Zoom? Do you want me to hang up the phone?
I know, I can't even see you anymore.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
do you want me
so-
to just keep the phone on then?
Yeah, keep the phone on.
Okay, so commissioners' thoughts?
This is odd.
Yeah,
Not sure what we're here for either.
I think it's really just to confirm that there's no violation of 5,000 square feet or net increase of 500. And John, can you confirm the size of the wall? You said it was about
The wall-
130 feet
the-
long.
The wall is it, like I said, you know, maybe I should have known better. I cheated on Chris and I had a contract, you know, a couple guys who said they were masons start doing it. And then you know, I paid them, but they clearly didn't do it well. But the wall is 130 feet long. It's just cinder blocks and it's 7 inches wide.
Okay.
This is
130,
7 inches.
yeah,
So it's like
130,
80 square feet. Yeah, 80 square feet.
Right, so it's 130 square feet long, you know, rounding up, it's 130 square feet of
Right,
impervious.
want,
And
yeah.
then I did talk to Chris McKenna. He did say that about 2 truckloads of fill were brought in just to cover what was brought in from the back of the wall. That was before the sod, so you need to bring in some fill, obviously, to backfill with the stone wall. But he said that it was about 2,000 plus square feet. So I got that answer a few days ago. So he said it wasn't 5,000. And again, like I said, we're really just here to confirm if the commission has any other questions, but at least for me, based off of the additional information that, you know, we've received over the course of the last year, it's really difficult to kind of look at projects like this that, you know, if there's ongoing work for a long period of time that was also done a long time ago, it's, you know, it's really just kind of verifying with the commission that you guys don't have any other concerns. It doesn't appear that there is a violation of 5,000 square feet. There's definitely, you know, about 2,000 square foot alteration, not counting the sod. The sod wasn't changing the grade, but the fill that was brought in for the wall, it seems to be that it's not triggering the stormwater bylaw, at least from the information I've received.
And is the complaint that the yard at 10 or the yard at 6?
6 Jerusalem Road. Yeah.
I'm looking at this contour map and it's like a
Are you looking on Mass
Yeah,
Mapper?
it is a bowl. And just to clarify, before I did any work at all, in one of the so 2000, maybe the winter of 2019, there was like either an early winter storm or a late winter storm. He had a skating pond back there that was at least 60 square feet. He has had nothing like that. And he's done a lot of work too. That's what's crazy about this. He has done a lot of work since I've been here, and he has no pond back there except for this water that runs on the side of the property from North Main. And by the way, if you go by my property, there is a little wall now, a little stone wall that I put up recently. That's the only thing that's changed since 2021. So this has been this way for 3 years. And I agree. I think it's a nuisance. I think it's a shame that you guys have to be bothered with it. And I think it's a nuisance to me. And, you know, some people you just can't satisfy no matter how much you work with them and cooperate with them. He's in a bowl and, you know, there's always going to be some water that goes down there if it's coming from North Main and through my property. Has nothing, the wall, if you will, is a total red herring in this.
So, Charlotte,
Yeah, I mean, at least for me, I have no other comments to add. It's these types of situations are very difficult to process for our commission. We've been getting them a lot these days, and every study is different. So thank you, John, for your time tonight. Unless the commission disagrees, based on the information that I received since sending the letter, I don't see a clear violation in this case. But the, you know, if you combine site activity with 2 years of wet rain, it definitely looks convincing to some. And so some people, you know, may come to a different conclusion than what might be happening on the site. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Tom, do you still need the phone? Okay, sorry. So yeah, Tom's here. He's just on my phone on speaker. So Tom, do you have anything else to add? I don't know how much you, you know, I mean, it seems like there's no, I don't really see a 5,000 square foot alteration. If the contractor confirmed late last week that it was about 2,200 square feet of fill that was brought in just to bring up the back from when the wall was installed. And then the wall is about, let's just say it's 130 square feet of impervious. You know, it's less than a foot, but plus or minus, it's not 500. And then the work that was done on the home was all interior, so no increase in the footprint there. Fire pit was added, but that's, or fire, but that's like nothing. So I guess Tom or commissioners, do you have any other concerns or comments to add? I don't think there's really much else we can go on.
Yeah, I don't have any more to add.
Okay, all right, thanks, Tom. Commissioners, you guys all set too?
Yeah,
Also,
well, do I have to make a motion to close this or?
Yes, please.
So, then I make a motion to close the show cause hearing for 140 North Main Street. Anyone second?
Yes, please.
second,
Great. I'll do a roll call vote then. Tom Bell,
Bill, I,
Valario Romano,
Valerio, you muted.
Kathy Berrigan,
Sorry, Valerio
Casimir.
Romano, I had to double mute. Thank you.
and Chris McIntyre, aye. This hearing is closed. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I do appreciate the work that you do, so I'm not offended to be on it, but I think it was a nuisance, but you know, so thank you for listening.
Good luck.
All right, bye-bye.
Next cause hearing is for 640 Chief Justice Cushing Highway,
Okay.
intermittent street alteration.
Oop, did I move the wrong person? Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, Chris. Sorry about that, Chris. All righty. All right, so I'll start. Hi, Mari, can you hear us?
I can. Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
So I can start, and then Mari, you're welcome to offer additional information as well for this one. So this was back in March, I believe.
Do
There
we need to
was
introduce this or did we
Sorry?
introduce, did I miss something? Did we introduce?
Oh,
the-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mari Bleaky, right? 630 CJC. And I do not see the oh, I do see someone raising their hand in the audience. So let me see if I can promote them.
Charlotte, I think my other, is it Lydia? And I
Yep,
think my
I think she
other,
might be on the call as well. Yeah, I see iPhone.
I
iPhone was raising their hand.
yeah, sorry. And I think my other neighbor, Tony Khan,
Okay.
whose property was impacted. Do you see him in the audience as well?
No.
Okay. That's okay.
For the iPhone muter who raised their hand, is this Lydia?
Oh, it's me, Tony.
Oh, hi, Tony. Okay,
Hi.
so no Lydia in the audience. Sorry, I apologize if there's a back thing. Tom, do you still need the phone for volume?
Yeah, I can hear you fine,
Okay,
and I can see you well.
okay. All right. So I'm sorry, there's a little bit of an echo here. Can you guys hear this echo or is it just me?
Yeah.
Sorry. Let me see if I can unmute myself a little bit. So yeah, long story short, in March, I was called to the site because there were some concerns from Mari and Tony that there's an intermittent stream that's in the back of the property at 630, and I'll pull up pictures momentarily. It had flooded and caused some flooding damage onto not just Mari's property, but Tony's property as well. And it was reported to me that Lydia Truglia of 640 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, who's not this house, she's one home over. You know, she had had somebody make some alterations to the stream in the back where these back stones were and where the pipe is as well, that had caused the you know, stream to kind of overflow a little bit more. And you know, hold on, I think I have the wrong site photos up, sorry. But essentially it caused some flooding damage and sedimentation damage to both properties. When I went out to the site with Mari and with Tony and we looked at the stream, I don't have really good photos of what the stream may have looked like beforehand, but is it correct that these stones were moved or switched or taken out? Was this this was the area that was cleared, correct? I apologize if my memory is a little fuzzy, but this was the area I think that might have been altered by Ms. Truglia.
Yeah, no, that's right,
Yes.
Charlotte. Yeah, and so I called Lydia, I think that Sunday.
Yep.
And, you know, just saying, you know, I work outside the home, and so Tony and I had spoken, and Tony had said that he had seen a couple of guys back of my yard, and Tony kind of thought I had sanctioned the work, and I said, oh no, I hadn't. And when I spoke to Lydia, yeah, it's the big rock in the forefront of that last picture, Charlotte. She did say that she had sent a work crew to work on the stream. And I did say in the back on my property, she said, yes, but I read your letter, Charlotte, and I guess she's saying that I misrepresented, you know, what I heard her say. So I don't know whether or not she thinks that's her property or not, but that is in fact my property. So those are pretty significant size stones to move. And not that I've studied the back stream all that closely, but I've lived in this property for 7 years. I've never once had the issue, you know, that I had in March. And maybe the previous gentleman's correct. Maybe this is the wettest spring in 100 years. I hope so, and it doesn't repeat itself. But I mean, it was significant. I mean, you know, Tony saw my shed that night, and he thought, my gosh, Mari, you're gonna lose that shed, because the water had risen to such an extent, it was over the foundation of that shed. And I know there's not a picture here to show sort of the line of debris, but it came pretty close up to my back steps. It was bad. I don't know, Tony, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, so since then that the water flow is totally disturbed, and I noticed that now I have much more. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I have much more water regularly now in my yard and on my driveway. And the natural flow of the stream is totally disturbed. You know, I've been here for almost 12 years, and I never have that much water in that. You know, we have rainwater that directly rain in my yard and stay there, and then it seep through the, you know, ground. But now it's totally disturbed, and I personally think that not only these stones, but something else has been done in the back, because there is a lot more water in this area now, even though we don't, you know, even if it's not raining for days, like if it rains for 5, 6, 7 hours, I noticed that I have a water I mean, I don't know if you have a picture of my fence and the yard, but it's totally unusual amount of water pretty much every rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I had after the site visit, Ms. Truglia had come into town hall, and I spoke to her about the concerns brought forth by Mari and Tony. You know, I apologize. This is definitely a little bit of conflicting information. You know, she said she didn't move any stones and that she only moved a few large branches that were on what she thought was her property. Unfortunately, I haven't had the opportunity to walk her property yet to see what is back there, but she did say that she was in the stream and that she was moving some things, but that she did not move boulders. So a little bit of conflicting information here, but I think either way, it does appear that there was an alteration somehow to the stream, and whether or not it may or may not have been well-intentioned, it's still an alteration that should have been, you know, reviewed by the commission. You know, we don't want to see activity in resource areas without proper permitting, because this is kind of stuff that could happen. You know, it's, you know, I mean, we have had a very wet few years, so there definitely, you know, rivers and stuff have been overflowing, but if there were alterations made to the stream that potentially exacerbated this, you know, that would have been something that I think our commission would have wanted to see. So I don't think we have Ms. Truglia on the call tonight unless she jumps on later and is able to raise her hand. But I mean, based off of, you know, the reports from Mari and from Tony, does the commission want to see any additional information or action for 6:30 or 6:40? Do we want more of maybe a site investigation? Do we want to maybe speak with Ms. Truglia more directly and walk her property and see what was back there? Because it's a little hard.
I'm having trouble kind of grasping what could have happened. Is
Yeah.
the stones now obstructing the stream that
No,
would cause it to dam up? And if that's the case, then yeah, I would, then that's pretty clear. But if there's not a clear obstruction that was recently placed there by Miss Quiglia, then I'm having trouble kind of understanding this scenario, and how any one, you know, one activity or whatever could have caused so much flooding, unless it's a dam, something that's obstructing the flow of water.
so I think, Chris, the two rocks that she moved, I mean, they're not, and Tony helped me because I didn't witness it.
So
But-
I am myself is an eyewitness. I saw 3 guys working for hours and hours, removing those rocks, and they have a small equipment there too. And you know, so and this is something that, you know, my wife also was there, and I show her that what are these guys doing, but I was under that impression that it's, you know, it's my neighbor, and you know, and because it was her property, so it didn't come across to my mind that someone else will, you know, go into someone else's property and start removing rocks and things. And and personally, you know, I have a lot more water in my basement now. My sump pump used to go off maybe every 20-30 minutes. Now maybe every 4 minutes. And usually my sump pump start pumping in beginning of the March or mid-March. But this time it was going off until last week. So there is definitely, it's been big disturbance in the flow of the natural stream. And I don't know if just because of these stones or if she did something else, you know, on her own property. So I think it needs to be investigated.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
too. I do
Yeah,
too.
I would agree that we need some more information. What's the source of the water? Is it coming from? Is that pipe that was shown in the photo a discharge from Cushing, or is it coming from the north, the water? I just don't have enough. I personally
So
don't.
if you see this picture here, so this thing, and then Gary put a lot of mulch by the trampoline. There is a trampoline on the left side, which is a pretty high ground compared to the rest of the area. And now that area has been flooding pretty much every time it rained more than 3 or 4 hours, and then the stream coming in around and then through my yard, and I had to put a pipe in my side of my driveway so the water can flow, you know, through that pipe instead of sitting in my backyard and piling up. And I'll be happy to, if someone's swing by here, I'll be happy to explain what I'm talking about.
Okay, and just for clarification, Tony, you're at 622 or 630?
622.
Okay. And Miss
Murray,
Mari,
Mari,
630, and
6:30.
Miss what was her name? It's not here. The
Lydia Truglia, she's 640 CJC, so she is, let me go back a little bit. So this property, like, hold on,
Can you pull up? Would you
this
mind
property
pulling
here
up-
is 640.
Would you mind pulling up Mass Mapper and?
Yeah, let me pull that up because that might be a little bit easier. So
See,
yeah,
because there's
I mean,
homes in between, right? Are there not? Are there not two homes in between?
there is another home in between 630 and 640. I think is it 634 or 636?
Well, there's both.
Sorry, my dog.
Yeah, there's a newly built house.
Yeah, Lily, they're right.
So we're not thinking it could be the retaining wall that was installed here that could have something to do with the additional flow.
It's possible.
Sorry, I'm trying to get the see if that might help. I'm pulling up conservations layers to try and see what we're dealing with here, but at least when I spoke to Miss Truglia, she did admit to fixing some stuff in the stream, but she's only saying that she moved a few large branches out of the stream. So, I mean, the problem is I don't have photos of that. I don't have, I don't think Mari and Tony, you didn't, none of it, or Tony, at least you didn't get any pictures of the staff that was working back here.
I can, yeah, I can look up on my phone and see if I did, but I definitely took the flooding after that, you know, and all the debris in my yard, and I had some, there were a lot of big branches were in back area. They were all end up in my yard. So, but I mean, I can, I mean, I am an eyewitness of 3 guys working for hours and hours there.
If you look at the 2022 site visit versus the 2024 really closely in the same areas of the stream, it does look like somebody, I don't know who, but it looks like the stones were pulled apart and the stream was widened. Like
Right, that's why I was,
increased.
yeah.
You know, I mean, it seems pretty clear. At least that was done. I don't know who did it or when it was done, but it looks between those 2 years.
Right, and that's actually, sorry, thank you, Valeria. You brought me back to why I had my 2022 photos up. So I had gone to the site 2 years ago for a different, request. I think it was about smell on the river. But the reason why, I think the show cause is appropriate is because based on the 2 photos that, the 2 sets of photos, there does appear to be some sort of alteration. The really tough part is, I'll admit we don't have obviously photos or videos of the crew doing that. Although, Ms. Truglia has admitted to working in the stream. She's not saying that she moved the boulders, but there does appear to be some of these were like pushed back and stacked on top of each other. So, I mean, at least for me, I definitely see an alteration here. It's difficult to kind of say who did it. But she's saying she only moved some sticks and stuff. But like judging from this, there's a lot of leaf litter. The new stream, the stream now looks a little bit deeper. So I don't know if her crew was in here, taking stuff out and cleaning it. The bank looks a little different. So, I mean, trying to compare the photos as best I could, there definitely does seem to be an alteration. It's difficult to pin it down on, like we obviously don't have a video of her doing it herself, obviously, if she had a crew doing it.
Yeah, I ran through them next to each other. There's definitely an alteration there as far as,
Yeah.
Well, as far as what is creating the additional flood.
Sorry, Tom. Sorry.
We're spinning Charlotte.
Hi. Sorry.
We're spinning our wheels.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, really the issue is, did she alter anything or didn't she? And in terms of the flooding, we can't do anything about this until we've seen it.
Okay, do we want to maybe request to visit the site?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay, let's do that. I'll write a letter to her and we'll say the commission, you know, based on these reports, wants to, you know, do a site investigation.
right.
Okay, sorry, Tom, I had to take you off speaker to eliminate the back noise. But I guess Mari and Tony, does that sound acceptable to you? Because, you know, we really do need to, I think, look at both sides here before we can, you know, it definitely seems to be there's an alteration. We need to figure out what the issue is and what happened with Ms. Truglia, what exactly she did, and what the next course of action would be, since this is affecting multiple properties.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that it's not just a stream overflowing, but it's also it's been disturbed. The, you know, if left side of the stream is that the water is gushing from other sides too. I mean, I can't, it's not my property and I never been in that area, but there is a lot of water coming from all over, not just overflowing the stream. So she must have, I don't know, it just maybe her intentions was fine just to clean up the area, but it just disturbed the natural flow, and its water is coming faster than it can go, you know, in through the stream or in there. So maybe you want to look into not just the stream but surrounding as well.
Right, we'll come out and have a look.
Okay, all right, so we'll touch base with Ms. Truglia and we'll try to set up a site visit, and we'll go from there. These types of situations are really tricky to unfold, so I think we need some more information here, if everyone agrees.
Sure.
Yes. Thank you. My apologies for the dog. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you, guys. We
No problem.
appreciate the
Thank you.
reports.
Thank you. Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you.
too, thanks.
Too.
So our last show cause hearing is for North Main Street, parcel ID C414-070. Tree
Okay.
removal and land alteration.
Okay. So I think, Dylan, is that you? You're muted. Hi, Dylan, can you hear us?
Yes, I got you there.
Okay, great. So Dylan, I'll start and then I think we can just open it up to what you have to share as well and then commission thoughts. So Dylan, I'm sure you read the letter, but over the past several months, the Conservation Commission has been receiving multiple reports from abutters on both sides, on Powers Lane and on the whatever the other street is. Hold on. It's on Cedar Acres. And, you know, they're reporting, you know, tree clearing, excavation stuff, digging holes, burning. I myself did see excavators on the site. It does look like materials being moved around. I've seen some large stockpiles. Based on some of the imagery, it does look like there's some tree clearing activity. You know, I know you're probably aware there's a little bit of a wetland on the eastern side of your property. So this activity is mostly occurring on the western side from what it looks like. So really what we're here for is we need to make sure that, you know, there isn't an alteration of 5,000 square feet of land, at least for the stormwater. And then, you know, making sure that none of this activity is happening inside the 100-foot buffer that may be encroaching on the eastern side of your property. But it does look like there's definitely a lot of land stuff out there. So I think we're really looking for some clarity because I'll be honest, this has been I've been getting so many calls to the point where it's kind of warranted a little bit of our concern with the alteration of 5,000 square feet. You know, because when you clear cut, obviously a lot of land, it can definitely affect infiltration, drainage, runoff, all that good stuff. So I think we're really just looking for some more information about what's going on the site and what the activity is, and just being cautious of that 5,000 square foot alteration.
So the properties, we're grandfathered in for general contracting up there, so we run multiple businesses out of the property.
Mhm.
We have a tree company up there, an excavation company, and a landscaping company. Several months back, we had a potential buyer interested in purchasing the property and putting apartments up there.
Mhm.
The neighbors don't like that. It didn't go over well, so I can see why they're, causing an uproar about the property. Yet they don't like seeing a business up there in the meantime, so.
Just to clarify, you're not grandfathered out of the Wetlands Protection Act or stormwater regulations.
And the activity that's changed up there, I've gone and removed debris. My family's been in front of you guys numerous times due to complaints for tires, firewood processing, debris up there, trash. I have cleared out a large majority of all the trash. You can speak with the building department. I've sent out 100-yard live floor of tires out of there. I've sent out 4 30-yard dumpsters to the Trojan Recycling. I've sent out 4 or 5 40-yard cans to Spiegel Scrap Metal. We've removed trailers out of there. We've removed vehicles out of there. The log piles that were stacked for wood processing, we've removed, I would say, at least half of that. There's no longer firewood stockpiled there. It gets processed and loaded into trucks directly. We're trying to clean the property up, and this is honestly, this is a little ridiculous that we're even here for cleaning the property up.
So, Dylan, can you clarify the tree clearing activity that's going on? Because this was submitted in your letter here. It does look like there seems to be a little bit of activity on this western side. I don't know what the excavator's been there for. It looked like some material was being buried. Is that from the tree company that's out there? Are they cutting down trees as well? Or are they just bringing in logs from sites? Because
we probably had 80 to 100 cords of firewood processed up there. We had logs for the mill that we keep on site, and we have a sawmill on the property. So there is stockpiled material, which we've been doing this for probably over 100 years now. My family has done this since they were dragging logs out with horses. So debris does build up on the property over the years, and I've taken the initiative to start clearing it up and getting rid of, the debris that's there. So yeah, of course it's going to look cleared. When you haul out that amount of crap out off a property, it's going to look cleared. And I think it's cleared for the better. I'd rather look at a cleared lot than piles of tires and trash.
yeah, I know some rubber tires were all removed, and that's fine. So it's really just, I think, the land alteration activity that the commission, I think, just wants to see clarified a little bit more. So you're not cutting down any material on the site. This is stuff that's brought in from other sites, and you store it there and dispose of it, or chip it, or burn it, or bury it.
We don't
Okay.
bury.
You don't bury? Okay.
No.
There was an excavator like several months ago that was digging a massive hole.
There's always going to be excavators up there. I'm in the excavation general contracting business. I have over 30 pieces of equipment. So yes, there will be some back at my property when they're not on sites.
Oh, no, the excavators being on the site is one thing, but there was a massive hole being dug at last fall. That's what I wasn't sure what was going on back there, because there was a excavator it seemed to be digging a massive hole, and they were stockpiling a lot of dirt up in a giant pile. So I don't know if they were, maybe were they creating a burn pit? Is that what was going on?
I don't know if you're talking, we had 1,000, maybe 1,500 yards of unprocessed gravel up there that was screened out to make screened loam on the site.
Okay, yeah, it was just a massive pile of dirt. It could have been gravel, but at least it looked like dirt from Cedar Acres, because the people from Cedar Acres, a lot of them are the ones who are calling, reporting, the excavator, the tree stuff burning. So that's really why we're here. It's mostly just to kind of clarify what's going on up there, and if there is an alteration of 5,000 square feet, at least from these two images on Nearmap. It looks like some stuff may have been moved or cut down, but if that was already a cleared space, if you have any photos or anything that you'd like to share, that would be really helpful. But does the commission have any other comments on this? It's really just, I don't think the activity is evident on the eastern side near the wetland. I think it's mostly a land alteration concern from stormwater, but please let me know if you guys disagree.
Are you able to look back in your records and find pictures that have been proposed of all the debris that was up there from prior meetings?
From prior meetings here, we haven't had a meeting about this before, at least for conservation.
It's been several years, but yeah, we've had numerous complaints over the years for running businesses out of there.
Okay, well, yeah, none of our commissioners were probably present for that, so I don't have record of any photos taken several years ago.
Okay.
But if you have those, that would be great. I mean, this is the first time, at least, that our commissioners are kind of seeing these kinds of complaints.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
And I have had Merrill Engineering up there as well to delineate all the wetlands prior to removing anything.
Okay, do you have recent delineations on the site?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
We have
willing to send those to us so that we can get more, perspective from your side?
Absolutely. The wetlands have been delineated and they did a topography map so you can see where all the elevations of the site.
Okay. No, I think that would be really helpful. So in case these calls come back, I think at least for me, because I'm the one who receives all the calls, I would really appreciate, any information that you would like to give us just to kind of weed out a lot of these phone calls to determine there's no violation. Because that's obviously the reason why we're here for the show cause. When you get this many reports of land alteration, it's, you look at the imagery, the satellite imagery, and that's all we have. So the imagery shows some stuff, but it doesn't show the full picture.
Understandable.
Chris, Tom, Valerio, Kathy, do you guys have anything else to add?
well, I'm starting to put together why the complaints are coming in is because they're the new alterations or you can see, I guess it's the west side of the property right behind the houses on, what is that, Cedar Ledge, you said?
Cedar Acres.
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah, that's new activity, whether or not it's 5,000 square feet, I don't know. So I think that's something that, again, I think we just need better. If it was previously disturbed, I don't really know the story there, but from what I can see in the satellite imagery, it looks like in October, 2023, it was forested, and then you go forward to April 2024, and it's you can see, fresh tracks, and there's, I don't know what that is, if it's recently milled wood, I'll lay it out to dry or what, but that's probably where the complaints are coming from, is because they can probably see it and hear it through their backyard.
Right. No, that's exactly it.
Yeah, I'm not really. Still pretty massive pile of tires back there, huh?
Yeah, and I think those were cleared out since then. Is that correct? Since April?
Yes, we have one more load to haul out. We're waiting on the company. They're out of Maine to come down and send one more trailer load out, but we did have 100 yards sent out.
Okay.
That's good. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to do. I think maybe we get that information, that if you could share that with us, and we can. Doesn't seem like there's anything going on the east side where the wetlands were. Was it an intermittent, or isolated vegetated wetland? Is that what we think it was, or is it connected to something larger, Charlotte?
It looks like a BVW, but Dylan, if you have the or if you remember the delineation, if it was an isolated wetland, it would have only shown 25-foot buffer, but if it's a BVW, it has 100. At least from Mass Mapper, it looks like a BVW.
I want to say it shows a 50-foot buffer. I think we have a 25 and a 50-foot outlined on this. Or is that 100? I can't read. I don't have my glasses.
That's okay. If you would like to email that to the commission, the delineation plans, so we can have it on record, I think that would just be best for the town as well, just to make sure that, when these calls come in, we know how to properly address them and not have to bring you back here if there's no violation.
Okay, that would be excellent. I can have Merrill send them over on his PDF. I think it'll be easier for
Okay,
you guys.
was it Brendan Sullivan?
Yes.
Okay, I'll reach out to Brendan then. But I guess commissioners, again, this is another weird case where you can definitely see activity, but I don't know if I'm 100% convinced if it's 5,000 square feet or not. There's definitely some, but I just don't know if it equates to 5,000 square feet. Does everyone agree or disagree, or?
Yeah, I agree. I think we need some more information before we can
Yeah,
say anything here.
okay. Do we want to just keep the show cause open until we get the updated information? Tom saying yes, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, Dylan, I'll reach out to Brendan. I'll touch base with him. We might just have to just put this on a subsequent agenda just to discuss it publicly, and hopefully that should be it.
Okay, excellent. And while I have you here, Brendan was reaching out to the health department to schedule a perk test of the property. We haven't
Okay.
heard back. Is that due to, what we have going on here?
For this, no, the perk testing would probably be for Board of Health.
Yeah, we're waiting for the witness to, call him back so we can get them scheduled. So I just didn't know if this was causing the holdup for the return call.
No, I don't think so. This is a separate issue with land alteration. So, but yeah, if you want to touch base with Board of Health Director in Town Hall, either you or have Brendan reach out to her directly, I think that would probably be the best for perk tests.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate it.
Okay, all right. So we'll continue the show cause. I'll reach out to Brendan. And we'll just get you on a subsequent agenda just to clarify where the buffer zones are, that there's no violation, especially for the Wetlands Protection Act, and we'll go from there.
All right, excellent. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Dylan. Take care.
Thank you.
So now we'll consider the an enforcement order for 80 Beechwood Street. It continues from 5/23/24.
All right, for 280 Beechwood. Sorry, Tom. I think your numbers got cut off. Okay. I'm going to assume this is Wayne and Brad, but based off of your last names.
Oh.
Hi, Brad. Can you
That's
hear
what
us?
happens when you let wife grab your computer. Let me change
That's okay. Same thing with Wayne, I assume.
it. I think so. Good evening, members of the commission. Brad Holmes with ECR. Give the commission an update on 280 Beechwood Street. So this has been a few meetings with the commission. I did get a chance to meet with Wayne. We delineated the limit of the wetland. We put together a plan and submitted to the commission with the wetland line, the 50-foot buffer zone, and the 100-foot buffer zone. And Wayne had done some work in the buffer zone, not within the wetland resource area, but within the buffer zone. And he had coordinated previously with the commission to install two large, when I say large, larger trees within the buffer zone. They consist of 2 white oaks. So since that time, the commission was waiting for an update for some additional revegetation activities. And Wayne Sawchuk has just completed those additional planting activities consisting of 2 more larger native trees within the buffer zone. And he actually planted about 24 native shrubs within the wetland and buffer zone as well. That was just completed. Our plan is to get out there and GPS locate those additional trees and the location of the shrubs, and then get a updated restoration submittal to the commission so we can confirm. And then I think that will close out, or at least close out this issue, this phase, the enforcement order, and then there would obviously be monitoring and reporting. But at this point, my understanding that Wayne has completed those tasks. We're going to verify that and get it to the commission and continue the process. So with that, I'll turn it back to the commission. Thank you.
I think there's nothing to do until we actually get the final results here of the planning.
Did you guys hear that? It sounds like we're just gonna keep this open until Brad, you said you'll give us the final as-built for the restoration, and then if you have photos, that would be great, since you guys know, unfortunately, I can't walk sites right now.
Yeah, we'll get
Um,
photos and put a updated plan together, and I think that will complete this enforcement order.
Okay. So we will keep the enforcement order open and we'll just wait for you guys. I will be honest, July 11th is really it's really crowded. So are you guys okay with maybe putting this on July 25th? Since this one seems like it's unlike the others we heard tonight, this one definitely seems like it has a more solid timeline.
We can get everything submitted to the commission, and whenever you want to hear it, it's fine with us. We'll have
Okay.
it in your hands whenever
Okay.
that works for you.
Commissioners, are you okay with July 25th since we already have a lot on the 11th? Or do you want to put this on at the end as a quick item? No?
Just-
Okay, July 25th.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brad. Well, thank you, Wayne. We'll continue this to July 25th and I'll look out for your completion report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good
Thank you,
night.
Wayne. Thank you, Brad.
Good night.
Oh, and actually, Brad, sorry, before you head off, Brad, sorry, I just have one quick question for the next one.
Sure.
next.
Sorry, Tom, go ahead.
Yeah, finally. We'll now consider the enforcement order for 34 Flintlock Ridge.
And Brad, my only question for you was, did you hear from Mr. Sexton? I know he said he was going to work with you.
I have not. We did.
Okay.
We did provide him with a proposal, and I have not heard back since we met with him on site in the spring.
Okay. All
With
right,
that,
thank you.
I'll log off. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. That's all I needed to know.
Okay, good night.
All right, commissioners, I don't know what's going on with Mr. Sexton, the contractor who was hired for 34 Flintlock Ridge Road. He said he was going to give us an updated plan. He said he was going to work with Brad. I think he told us that in person at our last meeting. So I have not heard from him. What do you guys want to do?
What are our options? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can send him a new
Can you just
letter.
Remind us, what the conditions are at this site?
So there were several. It was to obviously immediately repair the wetland and to provide a restoration plan. So we had given him an enforcement order to, basically do just that. And he did get most of the fill out of the wetland. That was part of the original enforcement order. There still is some, but the site was too wet to bring in any machinery or go in person because it was so wet. And so we had all agreed that, he just has to give us the restoration plan and then, the restoration work can begin at a later date when the grounds are more stable. But have not heard from him in the last month since we had our, I think our hearing was like in June. It was either June 6th or May 23rd. I think it was May 23rd, I believe. So it's been about a month and we haven't heard from him. And Brad hasn't heard from him. He said he was going to work with Brad. So your options are, you can send him just a letter. You can amend the enforcement order and put a date for submitting the restoration plan. Cause I don't think, I'll pull up the enforcement order, but I don't think we had, really agreed on an actual date. We just, because we had been in communication with him and he said he was working on it. I don't think we had further revised the enforcement order to have him give it to us by a certain date. And that's, we had originally asked for it.
I thought we gave him into July or something. Didn't we give him into July? Isn't that? I thought that's what we said last time.
Yeah, the last enforcement order that we issued was back in May. We wanted it by May 10th, and he had given us like a rough plan, but he hadn't given us like a full one, but he said that he was going to hire a wetlands person to work with him. So I think we kind of just agreed that he would come back. I think it was originally for June 20th. He was going to come back with a restoration plan. But I think, maybe for the purposes of this enforcement order to keep a written record, I think we should revise it and give him a new date. And if he doesn't give us a restoration plan by that date, fines. It's I will be honest though, the difficult issue with this guy is he's not from Massachusetts. I don't know his mailing address, and that's how you have to issue fines. So the only option is to issue fines against the property owner because I don't have his address.
You're going to send a letter to the property owner.
Yeah. and basically just say, this is the final date when a restoration plan is due from Mr. Sexton, and if not, we're gonna start issuing fines. I mean, that's probably,
Charlotte, the restoration plan is due from the,
yes. Well, we kind of have been working with him directly rather than the homeowner, but I did explain to her that, you know, she is the property owner. It does ultimately fall to her if he doesn't comply too.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't fine him, we fine her.
Well, the awkward part is, I mean, I don't want to like impose a bias at all, but basically she's the one who made him come to me, and he said that he would be responsible for paying for the restoration because he messed up.
Yeah, but that's not our issue.
That is not your issue, yeah. Okay, well, I think either way, we should maybe send her the revised enforcement order with an updated date. And if that plan isn't submitted by that date that we decide right now, it's gonna be fines. Because I don't want this guy to just run away, so yeah, I don't know where he is.
Well, maybe she needs to fire him and get somebody else.
I think he was already fired from the site a long time ago, and you know, because he messed up in the wetland, you know, he said that he would pay for the damages, you know, from what he did. That was the agreement between him and the owner. That has nothing to do with us, though.
Yeah, this is all about the owner. She needs to get a new contractor or whatever.
Yep. Okay. All right.
that's
So
why
do
they
you?
tracked this guy down. I mean, that's a waste of time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a mailing address for him, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you have to issue fines.
Right, but we've
And
not,
give her sufficient time to find somebody to take his place.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So do you
maybe,
guys
maybe
wanna?
start with maybe get on the phone with her first before you decide the nature of like how, you know, see what the deal is. Is she still in contact with him, or did he really hit the road and just
skip
like
town? Yeah.
skip town? Because if that's the case, then I would probably give her some extra
Yeah.
time to figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe write her a letter with the revised enforcement order.
Sure.
Call first.
Give her a call. Okay.
Yeah, call, yeah.
I'll have to see if I have her number. I did have it at one point, but I'll figure it out. If I don't have her number, I'll write her a letter. Oh, the census. Okay, so I can be creepy. Got it. I'll find her. Okay. Do you guys don't want to revise the enforcement order? You just want to keep it for now?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll contact her, let her know the situation is not good, and yeah. Okay. That was it. It's really just the tracker. Unfortunately, that's going to take me more than 120 seconds, but I did update the tracker. I can send it to you guys. Most of the older updates, with the exception of one, they've either been closed out, or I know that the people are working on a COC. I don't know when we're going to get the COCs. So that's really the only issue for a lot of the older stuff, like for 73 Atlantic Ave, you know, the horse guy, for the 100 to 104 Howard Gleason Road with the wetland. I know the planting work was done because I was there to confirm it. I just don't have a COC and an as-built to close out the orders of condition. And then in terms of new violations, I haven't added everything to the tracker yet, but I am aware of the people who we have to keep track of. In terms of some of the new enforcement orders that we had issued, 341 South Main Street, that was a guy who had cut down Norway maples in the 100-foot buffer and a few other trees. He has since planted the trees. I just need to go out to the site to confirm. And then I do need to check in with Brad and Joe Iantosca on that large property on Beechwood to evaluate the status of the plantings. But other than that, everything else, there are some old enforcement orders that I haven't had the time to look into because they were well before my time. But other than that, I think a lot of stuff has been closed out within the last year, which is really nice, and even some within the last 3 months. So I think we're kind of staying on top of our enforcement orders. The only two I need to check up on are 10 Parker Ave, you know, the people that use the salt and vinegar around their whole property, and The only one I wanted to ask you guys about, there was one on Pratt Court, 25 Pratt Court. This was a guy who had cut down trees and disturbed the wetland buffer. John Zimmer had delineated it as an IVW. We told him to come back and submit an RDA. That was like 2 years ago. So unfortunately that one fell off my radar, but do we want to bring this guy back at all? Do we care? I mean, this was over 2 years ago at this point, but he did, you know, cut trees down in the buffer zone and the wetland.
Yes.
A little bit past that, yeah, since we closed the show cause. Don't bother. Okay. Oh, sorry, Kathy. Kathy said yes.
Well, no, that's okay. I understand
Nope.
the situation. Yeah.
Okay.
We can't do anything about it, so.
Yeah, we can't do anything. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for reference, after this meeting, at some point, I will send you guys the link for the new updated tracker. So feel free to just look at it and let me know if you have any questions. And I will update it in some point in the next couple weeks, but I need to add all the new enforcement orders from the last 6 months. So
Thank
other
you,
than
Cheryl.
that, that's all I got. All right. Motion to adjourn.
Sounds
Second.
good.
Second.
Second.
All right. Thank you,
Good night.
guys.
Thank you,
Clean-
Cheryl.
Good cleanup.
Everyone saying aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Yep.
Aye.
No, thank
Good
you.
night,
Sorry,
folks.
guys. That was a big backlog. So
everybody.
thank you for bearing with me on that.
It's okay.
A lot of those are very odd,
Thanks
so I
all.
appreciate your patience.
Spring
Thanks for
cleanup.
your work.
Thanks.